Hello, my name is Carina, and in this podcast, Break Fear, Find Freedom, I have conversations with people just like you who have broken their fear and found their freedom, whatever that may be. And shows you how to do the same. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee or your running shoes, whatever makes you happy, and let the fun begin. Oh, by the way, come take my hand and let's go. The door's opening now. Hello, everybody. It's this time of the week again, and I've got the awesome Dino Miliotis with us again today. And let's just see how Dino's week's been. And I think he's got some exciting things to share. How are you today, Dino?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So you were shaking your head.
Well, I got to keep getting used to this intro. The awesome, I'm going to get business cards. The awesome Dino Miliotis.
I love it. Actually, it's really very cool, right?
Yeah, right. No, these are a lot of fun. Doing this kind of stuff. All new to me, by the way.
Yes, that's what makes it even more fun. So tell us what you learned this week.
What did I learn this week? To keep my mouth shut? I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. I was quoted. I did this article for this interview in Authority magazine, right? Full disclosure, I've never heard of it before, but you know what? Any magazine's pretty cool, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of people who have been interviewed on this platform, and so I thought it was kind of cool. And they asked me a question, and I basically said, the world has changed, but the principles of success are still the same. They always will be.
Yes,
and I'll explain that in a minute. But the world has changed for me. You know what I mean? And I think we've talked about this a lot.
Yes.
Where I'm the kind of guy that sticks with what works. Okay. Nothing fancy, but it's the message. It's what resonates. And
yes.
So you're talking about somebody that's been doing this for 40 years. I've been in business, right? Plugging away, believing in trying different things and, just moving forward. Really, you could say like with blinders on. Okay. And that was good for me. So at the end of my business career, like I write in the book, I mean, obviously I left everything behind, walked through the doors of rehab. And that's when the world stopped turning for just a brief moment,
Yes.
And when I get out, I'm clean and sober, obviously have a lot of time to reflect because it's in the middle of a COVID lockdown, right?
Yes.
And it was the first time that I noticed that everything's changed. Everything's changed. And just to give you an example, I mean, let's just talk even emojis, or just a text conversation with my son, who's now 30. If I get it wrong, son, sorry. He's 29, 30, one of those. It was his birthday. I should know. Shame on me. But, every conversation starts off with LOL. Even if I say, hey, you know what? I fell down and broke my leg. LOL, I'll take you to the doctor. I don't understand what that means. Or if I say, had an awesome week and had a great conversation on a podcast interview, all of a sudden I get this text back and it's this emoji of a unicorn with stars in its eyes. What the hell does that mean?
It's cool, right?
But what does it mean? I don't know. I don't know what it means.
It's exciting, I guess.
But was he calling me a jackass? I don't know. They're like, oh, unicorn. That's good. You see what I mean? So the whole world has changed, right? And here I am. I'm 56. I'm not old, but I think I was born older. I lived in a different time, right? And so I'm out and I'm trying to clamber onto the past. And the past is gone, and I'm doing my best to make it in a new world, understanding the new world. You know what I mean? And what I found is very, very interesting is that although everything's changed and technology is just always like light years ahead of everybody, especially me, people still have the basic things, still today. Since the beginning of time, we've always had to overcome our fears. We've always liked a good story. We've always liked a good conversation or direction. Let's just say direction.
Yes.
And so as different as things are, in a lot of ways, they're still the same. I don't like change, so I mean, if a flip phone did it for me in this new world, I'd still probably have my flip phone. You know what I mean? I mean, it was a hard stretch to switch from a slide rule to a calculator. I'll tell you that. Okay.
That is funny.
But seriously, there's a lot of marked differences, but a lot of things are still the same. So I think I told you I was playing around with doing a segment of my own on YouTube, where it's just basically like hit the button, answer a question that one of your readers has. I think that's fun. And just talk, right? And so this is a very new thing. It's on the YouTube channel. I call it the No Box Network, but of course, Dino Miliotis, it'll find it all. And I've done a lot of cool segments, and a couple of them are just, wow, they're resonating with a lot of people. I'm getting a lot of views. I'm starting to get a little bit of haters too. So that you're popular when you get some controversial questions back. But here's an old guy trying to give his spin, his take on this new world. Because in a lot of ways, I mean, if you watch like Star Wars, if you watch those movies, I kind of feel like one of the last Jedi. You know what I mean? I was trained on the sword, right? And everybody else has got all this high tech stuff. And here's a guy with a robe and a lightsaber, the Jedi sword, who's still making some impact in this new world. And I think that's really kind of cool. So I love the questions. I always tell people keep them coming in.
Yes.
And here's the thing. So when you do these segments, you can either do them polished, right, where you do a take and you do another take and you do I don't think that is necessarily genuine. Like this platform me and you are doing. I mean, we just kind of made it up. We're going along. There's what do we do before we tape? We said hello, we said good morning, and boom, let's go. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but somehow it's always something that a viewer can get out of it. So I do all my stuff in one take, and I answer every question, even if it's one of these uncomfortable questions. So yesterday it was like, explain how the world has changed, and how much time do you have, right? I mean, God, it's changed a lot. But all of a sudden I just said, you know what? There's a lot of good things that have changed, but one thing that I wish didn't change is the way everybody now is just so quick to judge and cancel culture.
Yes.
And wow, honestly, for like a couple split seconds, I thought about it and I'm like, do we really want to go down this route? But then it wouldn't be genuine, wouldn't it? I have to answer every question. That's like kind of like a game for me. You answer every question, one take, do your best, but be genuine. I think that's what people get out of these more than anything. So, so I talked about cancel culture a little bit. There was another segment where obviously it was after we spoke last week, it was about glass ceilings. And what do you mean by that? Don't you know that women have it hard? Don't you know I'm a minority and, we have glass ceilings that you'll never understand. Wow. Okay. So, okay, and where people think that this is like a debate or almost like an argument, I just call this conversation.
Yes, of course.
There's nowhere, Carina, that's written that, hey, look, when we talk, my goal is to win an argument. I don't want to win an argument. I want to give you my take, my spin. I always say I'm not an authority on this. I'm an authority on myself, right? I use my own personal experiences, my own personal observations. And if, the whole goal is if somebody could get something out of it, that's what this is all about, right? I mean, and it's serious topics, some of them, but in the end, I mean, we're having fun, we're enjoying each other's company, and we're kind of going through, whatever's on somebody's mind.
Yes.
So
yes.
there's a lot of good things that we talked about this week on those segments. And, I was wondering, I noticed your subscribers are just shooting up. So that's good. People are watching,
good, yes.
People are tuning in. So do you have any questions from your audience that maybe we can tackle here?
So what about direction?
Okay.
We were speaking about its direction, because I found that there's a lot of people with COVID that are like out of their depth, and they don't have jobs, or there's a lot of jobs, but they're menial jobs, right? And a lot of people, they don't want to go, and they've been doing great jobs, and they don't want to go into those jobs, or they want to start something online, but they get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So how do you get out of that, and how do you get out of the fear? And is it something like finding a direction and just focusing on that and just moving along? What are your thoughts?
Wow. Okay. So this is a good one. This is what we want, right? This is what we always talked about. So, okay. So there's good in this. Like when you were talking, I'm thinking to myself, wow, there's probably more aspiring entrepreneurs now post-COVID than I think there were before the pandemic. And it's not by choice, I mean, those people that always, you see them once a year in a wedding, right? And you're like, hey, let's get together. Oh yeah, let's do it soon. And then another year passes and then there's another wedding. You see the same person. It's like, oh,
or a funeral.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I compare people who are like, man, I wish I had a business. I wish I started this idea and made it a reality.
Yes.
But in essence, what they're going to do probably is stay in their comfort zone, which we talked about last week, and just dream about it, but still stay in a nice, safe environment. Hey, you know what? I'm getting a paycheck every week. I don't like the risky stuff. I got a family to support. I have obligations, whatever your deal is, right? And I get that. It's kind of scary to just like have the leap of faith and fall back without a net.
Yes.
And expect that, somebody will catch you and you'll still be able to survive and pay your bills. Now, when COVID happened, everybody got into lockdown, which, for the most part, isolation is just a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And you're alone with your thoughts. You're alone with, all your demons if you have them. So, it'd be great if you exercised your demons before you went in. That doesn't happen. I mean, this is just a movie, but you're alone with your thoughts. And and if you're like me, you took pause and you reflected back on, here's all the things that have happened in my life, a lot of wonderful things, a lot of horrible things, and what do I want to do now? Well, obviously everybody was for a while, maybe still now, being paid or compensated to stay home. And I'm not making fun of that. I mean, obviously it helps millions of people.
Yes.
But now after COVID, people are like thinking, do I want to go back to that? Do I really want to? I want to do something else. Now, like us, there's millions of people because of COVID that just said, you know what, I'm going to go online. I'm going to order a microphone and, I'm going to do my own damn podcast. Most of them not for money. Yes. But for purpose, for fun, for, it's just sheer entertainment. It just makes you feel good. What we're doing every week makes us feel good, right?
Yes.
But, if you notice, like, even I did this, guilty as charged. I go online and I Google, how to do a podcast. Next thing you know, I'm getting like, step one of a podcast, sign up now. I'll give you all my insights. That's not what I wanted. I didn't want to be on a mailing list. But, what do you do now in a post-COVID world, where a lot of people don't want to meet you face to face, and a lot of people, don't, they're not available like they used to,
Yeah.
And that's a good point. Direction is, I would just say that as far as me, my definition of direction is just always follow your beliefs and follow your heart. So in other words, and we talked about this, when you start understanding your craft and you start understanding your trade, the market always comes to you. You always see voids in the market. You always see what's missing. And again, I didn't invent the light bulb, and I didn't split an atom. Okay. So I'm not like this professor or anything. But what I'm starting to notice really quickly is that, even with all this new technology and all this stuff and these shock jocks that just want to talk about just the so crazy, sometimes horrible things, people still want feel good stories. They want storytellers like me, storytellers like you, who aren't afraid to say what they feel, but they're not preaching either. They're not telling you do this, do that, do that. So, I'm not saying, everybody, promising that a podcast is going to turn you into a multimillionaire. It's, chances are very slim. But if you're doing it to have fun, if you're doing it even for recognition or branding, where they see you on this and then all of a sudden you start doing other things, this is a good step. This is a good time for budding entrepreneurs, isn't it? Because,
yes.
They're still in the situation where they realize that a job a lot of times goes nowhere. And they're starting, I think, to yearn for the freedom that comes with being your own boss, creating your own ideas and developing your own direction. You know what I mean? I think this is a good time for independent thought. I just don't know how many platforms are like ours where we encourage this and inspire it without putting them on a mailing list and saying, well, join me and I'll show you how to do this in 12 days. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that anymore. Now, what are your thoughts on this direction?
So, yes, I think direction is very important. But it's also you have to consider that what about fear? Because a lot of times we want to go in one way, but we're afraid. Yeah. So we see the vision, but then we think, oh, you know what, we can't do that because I've got to put food on the table, which is right. But a lot of times we accept something that's less than our possibility or less than what we are capable of to supposedly put food on the table. Whereas if we had the courage to go for that direction and to go to what we want to do, it would turn out much better. So how do we overcome that fear to say, you know what, I'm going to take that leap of faith, like you said, and I'm going to jump and see what happens. How would you think would you overcome that fear of doing that? And how do you take that leap of faith?
Well, let me give you the poster boy for examples. Excuse me. So this isn't something that I read in a book. This just happened. So this is actually kind of cool. Here's an old guy who's gone into this digital age post-COVID, and I'm trying to have purpose and I'm trying to have direction. I'm trying to have fun, but obviously, there's something about reoccurring revenue streams that, obviously it's deep in everybody that they want to contribute and they want to be rewarded for their efforts. Yes. Okay. Yes. So when you read about people that just, oh, hey, you know what? I retired. What do you think of? You think of palm trees, you think of a hammock, and you think of somebody just like having fun all the time and never having a care in the world. Maybe people like that do exist, but I would venture to say that, if you're like me, that's not going to work for very long. I mean, you have to have purpose. So where I used to look at somebody who's like 80, 90 years old, I'm like, what the hell is this guy writing a book for? Why is he on TV? What's he doing? Why doesn't he just retire? It's because people like that, people like me, can't retire. They're like sharks that got to keep swimming in order to breathe.
Yes.
If you're like me, you're going to understand this. Okay. Yes. If you're not, that's okay. But there's a certain type of people that have to be involved. They have to be engaged. Okay. So here's what I found out from the kids these days, the young kids. It's all about branding. Okay. So in my business career, 40 years, I never thought about that stuff, but I never had business cards either. I never had business cards because I did so many things. What do you give them? Which card? What's your hat today? But what I found, not with advertising, but just straight up word of mouth, people knew how to reach me. People knew how to find me. That was, I didn't think of it then, but that was my brand. I was my brand. This is Dino. I don't even know his last name, but he's Dino. He's the guy who takes care of everything. A lot of my customers, that's how they describe me. Okay. You do business with them for 15 years. You have them as a client for 20 years. They don't even know your damn last name. But you mentioned Dino, and they're like, oh, yeah, I got his phone number. It's under Dino. No last name. That was branding, I guess. Now it's a little bit different. It's like, some of these people who go online and they have their social media accounts and stuff like that. They're very, very aware that views and likes and hits and all that stuff translates into revenue streams. I guess YouTube or Facebook or all these platforms. Don't make me say them. I don't even know them all. But they'll compensate you with revenue streams per whatever. Then there's advertisers that see the following that you have, that see the branding that you have, and they'll come to you and they'll say, hey, you know what? Why don't you wear our shirt? And it's got our name on it. Why don't you align yourself and endorse some of our products if you believe in them, or whatever the case is. So they're smart. They're smart. And I'm starting to learn on it. So I'm going to tell you this. I was afraid because I was just like, okay, I wrote a book and I thought that, I'm fulfilled and, I did a great thing and, it's helping a lot of people, but I was afraid. It's just like, do I have to write another book now? What do I do next? And the market started unfolding. I started seeing that people who've read my book, they get me, they understand me. They start having questions. And then you want to answer them. Well, how do you answer them? The old way, the one I'm used to, dear reader, you start writing a letter. This new age, it's probably better that, to understand that they're not the only ones who have that question. And instead of singling out that person with first and last name, you use their first name, you explain the question, and then you go ahead and share a personal experience that could be covered by other people. So when I first did this, I was afraid. And I'll tell you why. Because I didn't know if an old guy like me fits in a new world like today. I try not to compare myself with others, but, in today's age, it's all about, well, I posted something yesterday, I got 1 million hits, and I got like 2, and right away, you're going to feel like a failure because you're like, wow, I want 1 million hits too. But what you don't understand is, take the sensationalism or these freak accidents or whatever they post now, take that out. Right. And let's just talk about somebody with something to say. A lot of times what you don't realize is these people have been working on their brand and their content for a long time.
Yeah.
And they're building a following, which if it's good, spreads. So I started thinking about that. And then I said, you know what, that guy with 1 million clicks or hits or whatever the hell it is, let's not compare ourselves to that. Let's compare ourselves to ourselves. Okay.
Yes.
And what do I mean by that? So the first thing I did, it had like 4 views, then it turned into 100. And then the next thing I did, 400 views. It just keeps going up, which
great.
tells me, but it's telling me that, there's a lot of people, obviously they're not all following me because if they hit the damn subscribe button, they'd be following me. But that said, it's spreading. And so I know that I'm on the right track. I know that I'm making an impact in a very small way, which is rewarding to me. More so, I think I'm getting the better end of the deal. So I was afraid because, again, this is all new to me. So like I keep preaching about like getting out of your comfort zone. This is a current real example of me out of my comfort zone. And so I believe that I still have a message to share. I'm encouraged by the increasing views and the constant spreading of the word and following and stuff like that. You on your show, same thing. Your numbers are going, right? And that's got to feel really, really good. But there's other stuff too. I started thinking about, a lot of the stuff that I say now in this new world, they always put a hashtag and then they put the saying. Oh, T-shirts, bing, one day I'm going to put on my website, I'm going to sell T-shirts. You never think of these things, but they just start happening in front of your eyes. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that, if you just quit your day job just to be a podcast host, maybe keep the training wheels on for a while.
Yes.
Until it builds up momentum. This is a different world. It's not like, the immediate gratification that I had. I think of a business idea, I find a manufacturer, a week later, I'm starting to make sales. This is different. I don't have a manufacturer. You know what I mean? This isn't this is a digital business. This is almost like we're modern day TV hosts, for crying out loud. But there's millions of TV channels that people can tune into, and until they know you, they don't even know you exist.
No.
You're way, 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 way down. I even type in my name sometimes and I can't even find myself on Google. I'm like, what the hell? I'm me. I know I'm me. How come I'm not up there? Google's telling me I'm not that relevant yet. I'm kidding about that one. But there's a tremendous amount of fear with doing something new. And the exciting thing is that we can share about things. Now, since the first segment that we did together, and then we said, hey, you know what, we love talking to each other, and I think we have a lot of cool stuff in common that we could share with my audience, your audience. This was just really, really new, and in the short time that we're doing this, we see these marked improvements, these hurdles, these things that are going on. I got my first consulting gig.
Oh, wow. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
I want to tell you who it is, but I can't. But I'll say he's a mayor. Listen to me. Now all of a sudden I'm in politics. He's a mayor of a small little town, sleepy little town, which I'm not making fun of. That's a beautiful thing. On water, on a coast.
Oh, wow. It sounds brilliant.
And so he's a current mayor who's running for re-election. And there's this new person coming in, another candidate that promises fresh ideas, a fresh approach, not from that state. And so, he's like, hey, I bought your book. Have you ever done any consulting work? And I'd like to hire you. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. This is a new one. But like I said, things evolve.
That is so exciting.
Understand. Well, but here's the thing. By the way, he's not taking my advice very well. It is very frustrating, but I got to shut my mouth and just let him do his thing.
That's going to be hard,
Are you kidding? The guy's going to have a gag order on me pretty soon because, But here's the thing, and let me kind of lay it out, right? And it happens in small towns everywhere, especially now, right? Now, I was born and raised in Chicago, big city, right?
Yes.
And I lived in San Diego, big city. Okay.
Yes.
But I also live in small cities in different states, and it's a more laid back, quiet life. A life, they have their values, and they have, they like that lifestyle, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of people now in these big cities that are cashing out because their home values have gone through the roof, right? And then they get the more bang for their buck when they go to these small rural towns, and they can buy a house for like a third of the price, and they're just, oh, wow, this is great. I get that. I agree with that too. Who wouldn't like that? You buy more house, you have money in your pocket, and that kind of stuff. But here's where a lot of people go wrong. They come from a big city into a sleepy little town that's been happy being a sleepy little town because there's beauty, or there's a coastal, there's waterways, there's whatever, And then all of a sudden they try and change that town. They're like, well, if it was me, it'd be like, well, in Chicago, we do this, this, and this, we should do that here, and as normal as that sounds, you're kind of pushing, stuff on a town that's just pretty happy being the way it is. So I've been a resident of Idaho for many, many years. Not that I'm always here, but I really like it. When I moved into a little town in Idaho, it was very, very low key. It was, all that flashing and all the gold and all these fancy cars that I had. I mean, of course they're nice, but nobody really cares about that too much, right?
Yeah.
And I knew really quick that instead of me trying to change the town, you got to embrace the culture and relax a little bit and understand that, hey, when I'm in this sleepy little town, I want to embrace the sleepy little town.
Yes.
And it's nice to take a step back and decompress and, kind of enjoy it. Don't try and change it. Embrace it.
Yes.
Right? And
yes,
so because that happened to me, I'm telling this mayor, look, your campaign speech right now is, I know we got problems with flooding after hurricanes, and I know we have, to do, reconstruction on certain ditches. We got to expand the roads. We have to do that. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, he is the mayor and has been for a long time. He's running again for re-election.
Yes.
So all the things that he's saying he wishes to have done, the first thing a voter is going to look at is, why didn't you do them all?
Why didn't you? Yes, of course.
Why are you talking about these problems? But at the same time, you got this other candidate that's coming in saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to bring in new money to this town, and we're going to change the culture, and we're going to change the way things are, because we got to modernize and we got to upgrade, and we got to, and a lot of people are just like kind of, they're backing off of that message. And the reason they're backing off of that message is because these people found this sleepy little town to be sleepy, to enjoy whatever it is that's out there. You want to go fishing on your boat, you get in your damn boat and you go fishing. They don't have to worry about all the things that are happening in the big cities. I mean, these people left big cities to come to this little town. So I'm telling him to change his pitch and, embrace the life. I'm here to preserve, this relaxed way of life. I'm here to preserve, all the beauty that we have and stuff like that. That would be, I think, a more powerful message.
Of
now,
course.
Do I have any experience in politics doing this kind of stuff? No. And I told the mayor that I didn't. He didn't seem to care. So now all of a sudden, I don't know what you call it, a consultant for a
consultant.
I hope he wins. I hope he wins. But he's not taking he keeps telling me, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'll use that. And then he's back on this thing. Well, I think that the roads are horrible and we need to expand the road. I'm like, oh boy. So I'm watching that election a little bit, but back, I'm veering off. Back to what I was talking about is this is a very, very new thing for me. And what started as scary, I kind of went back to what's made me tick for 40 years. And what's made me tick for 40 years is believing in myself, believing that I deserve more. And just having this conviction that, you got to try new things. You'll never know until you try, right?
Exactly. Yes, of course.
And so, if I did a podcast or if I did a clip on the YouTube channel, or if I wrote the book and I had no sales, I had no questions coming in, I had no viewership, I had no momentum, I'm not going to say give up, but I would be the first to realize very, very quickly that maybe it's not my time yet. Maybe I got to replan how I'm presenting myself to the world, because it is a new world. Or maybe I need to do something else to occupy my time and then revisit this. I mean, I don't give up. I don't give up.
Yes.
But you got to be practical, and you got to, you got to move at the speed of business. You got to move at the speed of how the market is reacting. But what I'm seeing is a lot of notable differences. And again, I mean, if I compared myself to the person who, spits something out and there's a million views, I'm always going to be disappointed, right? But I'm not doing that. I'm comparing, like I've always have. I'm comparing my actions, my work to me. Was I better today than I was yesterday?
Yes.
Am I going to be better tomorrow than I am today? And that's advice that I've followed for myself for 40 years. Why should it change now? Even if it's a new world, even if everybody's got these white hot fuses about a lot of controversial topics these days, the principles of success are still the same.
Oh, they're the same. Yes.
They always will be. So, you asked about the fear and, belief and stuff like that. And I thought about this after we talked last week. Okay. And I don't remember exact. This is one of the very few things I'm going to take out of college to share with you, because we all know how much I loved college. But there was this interesting experiment. It was some Russian scientist. And he did this experiment with fruit flies. And basically, he took a bunch of fruit flies, put them in a jar with a lid. Obviously, the fruit flies can breathe. They got air, they got water, they got light, and whatever. They were healthy. And over a certain period of time, after that period of time, he took off the lid off of this jar. Okay.
Yes.
And the fruit flies did not come out of the jar. After a long period of time, there was only a few that jumped out of the jar, but for the most part, they all stayed in the jar. Why?
Yes.
Because the fruit flies were trained to know that, hey, you know what? There's a lid on, and this is all the room I have to jump.
Yes.
And isn't that kind of like life? I mean, that out of all the things in college that I could remember, that was one that really stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And the reason I think it's stuck in my head is because it's true in life. Glass ceilings, like we talked about last week, very controversial topic, I guess, as well.
Yes,
but here's the thing. If us humans are like fruit flies, and there's always somebody telling us that you can't do this. Oh, you got these views, but look at that guy. That guy's got 1 million. Right away, you're not going to be anything in this business. Oh, you don't know how to write a book. Why even try? Hey, your life's not that interesting to share. I don't even understand why you're writing a book. If I believed all that stuff, then I'm the freaking fruit fly in the jar with the lid on.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Oh, I can't do this. I can't. Oh, let me try. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. My head will hurt. I'm bruising. I never believed in that. The book. There is no box. Perfect example. I could have called it fruit flies. Same meaning. And I think we're all caught up in that. We believe we're in a jar with the lid on most of the times.
Yeah.
When really we're not. But think about it. If we were a different type of person, that what I do affects you. In other words, the more popular I get, it's directly taking money out of your pocket. You might be the person that would say, you know what, Dino, I don't know. This is really, encouraging me not to have vision and not to believe that I have no limits, because my viewership is taking away from your viewership. You know what I mean? That's competition. It's a free market, right?
Yes.
But I believe that the market tells you what's popular and what's not somebody else. So the market will evolve, just like this. I mean, I didn't write a book to say, one day I'm going to be a consultant for a politician on an election campaign. How the hell did I know that? I didn't, but it evolved.
Yes.
So,
yes. You were talking about competition, right? Mm-hmm. I think if we all realize that there is no competition, the only competition we have, like you were saying, is with ourselves. So how can we be better, without looking at John, who has 1 million views, or Jane that has 2 million views, or whatever it is? Surely if we all become like now, we do a collaboration, if we work collaboratively between each other and compete within ourselves, it would be a better world. and we'd get further along as business owners as well.
Yeah, I agree. And, let's talk about the competition, right? McDonald's is, everywhere, right?
Yes.
But if you believe that, well, you know what, McDonald's is there, they're killing it. I want to have a burger place, but McDonald's is right there. Why should I open? There's a reason why there's a McDonald's next to a Burger King, next to a Wendy's, next to a Taco Bell, next to an Arby's, because there's choice in the marketplace.
Yes.
The market doesn't just say, hey, McDonald's, they were cutting edge. Okay. Got to give them that, right? They started everything and they're very successful. But the market is saying that, I want a choice. I don't just want this kind of burger. Once in a while, I want this kind of burger. And there's room for everybody in this arena. Okay. So, me and you are kind of like, we're kind of kindred spirits, but you have a Burger King, I have a McDonald's. And we just figure, what's the resonating theme? People like hamburgers.
Yes.
Yes. And so our messages are similar. There's a lot of people out there that are spreading similar messages. People like us would probably gravitate towards them because it's the same thing. It's the same thing going on. But I wouldn't align myself necessarily. Well, I would. I'd align myself with anybody, shock jocks, whatever, because what? I proved that the shock value, once it's over, people still want to know about real life, real stories, and a positive message. It's not just always shock and awe. You know what I mean? And the market tells us this. So competition is very healthy. You shouldn't be afraid of it. It's just that the way I've always kept myself on track. Am I doing the right thing? Is this really worthwhile? Start looking at upticks in things. One day you get this, next day you're getting more. How is this happening? I'm not advertising. How is it happening? It's happening because if you like something, if you like the message, you'll share it, right?
Yes.
And then somebody else likes it and you'll share it. And that's the whole point. It's like one single touch really, really can change the world.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just takes one person to find one person, and then next thing you know, it's just exponential. So maybe now I understand why these people have 1 million views or 2 million views or 100 million views. I mean, just some crazy psychotic numbers. And maybe a lot of that was sensationalism and, controversy and all that stuff. But in the long run, what you're going to find is the people that have consistent, crazy views are the ones that have accomplished something or are spreading a great message. They're not usually the ones that create some controversy over a soundbite. It goes viral. Where are these people a year after that? You know what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, if you only have one thing to say it, enjoy your 15 minutes of fame, and then go home. Find something else to do. But I would rather take the mild hurdles every day of the week than just a quick spike in success, because that's kind of a false reading sometimes too, isn't it?
And of course, it's a consistency as well, because you have the one-hit wonders that do really good for a while and then they disappear because they do something else or they get bored or whatever it is. I mean, and that's fine. Whatever people do, whatever they need to do in their lives, right? But I think it's a consistency that eventually will, because if you look at even the big podcasters, they've been doing it for a long time and they have their audience because they're consistent and they've got a good message.
Right.
So, and consistency is the most difficult thing to do as well, because it's difficult to get up at 9 o'clock every Thursday morning and say, hello, Dino. Well, for you, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock for me. I'm in San Diego. Say, hello, Dino. How are you doing today? I mean, it's really
cool. You know what? If you called me at 5 o'clock in the morning, we had this at 5 o'clock, I think I'd still be the same way. I mean,
yes,
I wouldn't be before I talk to you, but my brain is spinning already, right? My face may not show it, but as soon as I start interacting with somebody, you're giving me fuel. It's synergy. It's very, very important, these personal conversations to exchange ideas or just shoot the breeze or whatever. It's very, very important. You can't be isolated for very long. It's not healthy. Now, I have my sobriety too. I mean, part of writing a book, I didn't have to, but part of writing a book is maintaining my sobriety. I want to do positive things because I decided that the tail end of my life, I'm going to create crazy businesses, believe me, and they'll evolve from this new world. I don't even have to do it. The more I understand this world, the more things will come to me.
I know. Isn't that exciting?
I mean, I'm seeing it. So there's my results.
Yes,
but,
yes.
It also keeps me sober because it gives me purpose. I'm not the guy that's going to be able to sit idle and sit on the beach and do nothing. I have to feel like I'm contributing, not as an authority, but just somebody that touches lives in a small way, maybe sometimes in a big way. But I'd like to feel, and we all have this gift, but I'd like to feel that, my life mattered. My life mattered. You mentioned one hit wonder. That kind of picked a little scab in me for a second. So I'm going to tell you. So, I've done a lot of things, and, just small parts in the book, but there's a lot of incredible things that weren't like multi-million-dollar ventures, but in a small way, it was like I had nothing, and then, a couple $100,000, and then nothing, and then $500,000, or still successes as far as I'm concerned, right? But I remember after I launched that insect repelling bug ban, right? And it was just an immediate spike up to stardom, multi-millionaire overnight, fame, fortune, attention from, you want to talk about a million hits, go on Oprah and Sally and, get in Forbes magazine and CNN and all that stuff, that's hundreds of millions of hits. So back then, before we had views, clicks, and likes and all that stuff, that was it. It was, readers, how many readers you were able to circulate your message to. And I think somebody, my PR guy told me that it was like 200 million households.
Wow.
Which I think is pretty cool.
It's very cool.
So the thing is that I invented something that took off like crazy, but I wasn't used to the business side of, carving out territories and distributorships and promising exclusives and all that stuff. I was just like, you want to sell my thing? That's fine. And everybody got too crazy. And I didn't know how to handle lawsuits. I could have won. Today, if that happened, I wouldn't even bat an eye. But back then it was very scary stuff for me.
Yeah.
So instead of fighting every single potential person that would come out of the woodwork and sue me, I decided, you know what, whatever, next. And I filed for bankruptcy. Very shameful. It was a pride swallowing kind of a thing, and it just really wrecked me for a while. Right. But in the back of my head, Carina, I kept thinking, everybody's like, oh, why don't you go back and start another bug ban? Why don't you, go back and just take it over again and just do it again? What are you waiting for? And I kept thinking, you know what? I don't want to be a one-hit wonder. I don't want to just come out with one thing and just forever be associated with that one thing, because I know that really no matter what I touch, I don't want to sound arrogant, but no matter what I touch with that belief system, I can do anything.
Yeah.
So that always stuck in my head going through bankruptcy, living in a bar for a year, licking my wounds and, getting ready to face the world again. The thing that was always still going through my head is I don't want to be a one-hit wonder. And then what do you know? The time I decided to enter back into the world with a positive outlook and, again, a belief in myself, in a very, very short time, I opened up another business. I just ran into somebody that, I hadn't talked to for a few years. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, I heard about the bug ban, heard about your bankruptcy. That's too bad, but let's start this business. Well, why do you want me? Well, because you're good. Because you're good, Dino. You don't understand. You're good. And I'm like, wow, okay, that's cool. So we, jumped right in, started a completely different business. That business turned into another business. Just people just like come into close proximity with. And next thing you know, we just start synergizing. Next thing you know, one thing turns into another and it morphs into another and whatever. All through my 40 years, even though that one insect repelling wristband will forever define me just because that's where I got the most press.
Yes.
People
yes.
Magazine.
Even that.
But you'll notice that through 40 years, there's not one single thing that I've done the same. I've always been in different businesses. I had a payroll empire, $1 billion payroll empire. I did the mosquito thing. I did collector's plates. I sold sports memorabilia. I was a successful usher at a movie theater.
Yes.
I'm kidding about that.
That's where you started, right?
Yeah, no, I know. But I guess it doesn't matter what the platform is. What matters, I found out then, and a lot of times you need reminders, but it's always me. It's always been me. It always will be me.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It's not the business. Oh, well, if I had this business, I'd be successful. It's not the business, dude. It's you. It's you.
Yes.
And there's a reason why there's 2 McDonald's that are franchised by 2 different owners. One of it does more business than the other. What's the first thing they're going to tell you? Well, it's location. If I had their location, then I'd be more successful. Okay, let's just pretend we're in fantasy land and put 2 McDonald's next to each other, right next to each other, which is impossible, but just say they'd be right next to each other.
Yeah.
There would still be one McDonald's that's more successful than the other. Why? Because of the owner, not because of the business.
Exactly.
You've got to understand that. People have to understand that. I think society has somehow, and I don't know how, but I think society has just the majority of people that just believe that they're in this jar and they're fleas and they don't have an outlet and stuff like that. It's bad enough that you're in this jar, but a lot of people that really don't have something to say, they're going to reflect their position on other people. Hey, don't do this because we're fleas. Oh yeah, we're fleas. Hey, you better not do that because we're fleas. Strength in numbers, right?
Yes.
But there's a lot of fleas that have been telling innovators and creators and cutters and shakers all their lives, trying to convince us that you're only going to be in a jar. There is no other world. It's just this jar. So let's just get comfortable in this jar.
Yeah.
And I know it's safe and comforting, and somebody's always going to feed you and give you light and give you water and give you sugar. I know that. That's nice. But, there's a lot of us now, especially now after COVID, that are these fleas that are like, you know what? I can get my own damn sugar. I can get my own light. I can get my own water.
Yeah.
And they just fly away. And what are the other ones going to say? Hey, come back. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Now, of course, the flea that leaves is going to, probably say, hey, come on, join me. You could do it too. Come on.
Yes.
Follow me.
Yes. That's the way it should be.
It should be. But at some point, the actual going through the threshold is a personal journey. And that's why a lot of people either do it or they don't. It's very, very weird. I had a lot of time to reflect, Carina, as you can tell, writing a book, getting stuck in COVID, being in rehab. You're alone with your thoughts and you're just like, who am I? What am I? What defines me? What do I want out of my life? So I had a lot of time to kind of reflect on me because I'm supposed to be an expert on me. But you learn every day. You learn every day, like something different comes your way, and it's how you handle it. It's how you handle it. So I did say on the show that I was scared. I did say that I had fear starting this new venture. So, everybody out there that's just like, oh, what do you have to be afraid about? You've done this. I mean, you don't have to work. No, I don't. But you know what? Everybody tries new things and everybody has that fear, and it's how you handle it. Maybe fear turns into a motivator, right?
Yes.
I used to say that the best motivator is fear to people in business, fear of loss. There was a time where it was fear of if I didn't provide great service, if I didn't provide a great product, my clients would drop me. And that was a direct impact to the amount of money that I'd be making every month.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that to happen because I kept thinking, wow, what if I lose half my clients? Oh my God, I'm going to be in trouble. And that's why the average, in the payroll business, my average client was with me for 12 years, which is unheard of in that market. Normally you have a client, they're on for a year or whatever. I mean, this was stuff, we talked about
yes
problems with life, divorce, marriage. They treated me like I was part of the family, and we talk like, whatever. And even when competition would come and try and court my client away and say, hey, you know what? I could do your payroll and I could do it for less. They'd call me and they'd be like, Dino, do you know this guy? I'm like, no, I don't know. He's probably my competition. He's like, oh, then never mind. I'm not going to return his call. I'm with you. I don't care. Even if it costs more money, I don't know this person and I'm happy with you. So it's not always price, right? It's not location. It's not the product. It's not, all this stuff that we kind of get caught up in. It's ultimately you. So there you go. There's my 2 cents.
Yes. I love that. And if we could get people to understand that and to believe in themselves enough to realize that especially now, there's so much potential, and it's really a very exciting time to be alive. I think with all the technology, I know you're not too tech, you're not, but it's beautiful. It's so exciting because there's so new things coming along, and it's just, whoa. There's just so much potential and so much opportunity. And if people could understand that and realize that they could do and be anything, if they just believe in themselves, oh, wow, that would be really exciting. We could elevate everybody further and further up and just take everyone with us. That would be pretty cool, right?
We could. But again, those who are like me that are afraid of technology, who don't understand technology, and I think personally that's okay. Yeah, you know what? It's more convenient and provides all kinds of different things. But there's just something about that old Jedi, that's kind of learned the Force, kind of like Yoda. And, you learn the Force. The Force is as old as time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you didn't need all these fancy gadgets and technology and stuff like that to be successful. Before these things were around, people were still successful.
Yes.
Why? Because there's just something that I cannot explain to you better today, but it's just understanding your market, understanding your audience. I don't know how I do that. I don't know how I've ever done that. If you ask people, they're like, well, how do you know that this is the right price point? How do you know that this belongs in I don't know. That's what I kept telling people. I don't know, but I just know, maybe all the commercials I watched. I watched a lot of commercials, but wait a minute. If you buy this today, you will get 2 for the price of 1, and we'll do shipping for free. I don't know. I've watched a lot of commercials, but, kind of gives you the pulse of what people buy. There's just so many ways. So yeah, you're right. This is a great time. Technology is great and everything like that. But I think that people also should, not throw out the old-fashioned stuff just yet. The mind is still faster than any computer known to man. And your body is just such a complex system. And if you treat it right, and including your mind, what you put into your mind is really what you get out, right? It's just like a muscle. If you use a muscle, it gets bigger, it gets stronger. Same thing with the brain. So, give your brain a dose of positivity every day, swallow some confidence every once in a while, because it works. It works. We talked about, you and I right now, by comparison to everybody out there who does successful podcasts and all that stuff, we're successful in our own right and in our own minds. But by numbers, we're no, you wouldn't find us in the, anywhere, right?
Yes,
but
right.
We're having fun, and we're seeing that our word is spreading and our message is spreading, and people really like what we have to say. So in our own world, we were successful today.
Yes.
And that's what people have to kind of do as well. Because I'm always going to be disappointed if I'm comparing myself to Kim Kardashian.
No, you can't do that.
I was using this kind of perfume today, and boom, 100 million views and a bunch of sales and a bunch of orders. One day I'll be that, maybe, if I want to. But right now, nobody knows me. But when they do know me, they're going to know me for lasting value and how I made them feel. That's my hope. And not just because I had a show that was just a train wreck to watch and you couldn't look away. You know what I mean? And congratulations for the show. And it was very successful. But what are you teaching? For me, is spreading a message of hope was what I decided that I wanted to do. So again, it's like identify what you want to do. You want to have a business. What do you want to accomplish? You just want money. There's no crime in that. You shouldn't be embarrassed, but just say it. Say it out loud.
Yes.
Do you want to help people? Then say that. What is it that you want to do that you have to believe in so strongly in order to take the next few steps to make that happen?
Yes.
If it's just sensationalism, then you know what? Contact me and I'll give you some crazy ideas that are just crazy off the top. And you'll get a lot of likes and hits and views, and you'll probably spike and you'll go viral every single time. But in the end, what have you accomplished? Are you the silly guy that keeps putting viral videos out? Well, there's nothing wrong with that either. But it's just like, what do you want is, I guess, the first question, right?
Yes. So we go back to direction. So start with, what do you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow,
cool.
There was a message in this segment. I thought it just went off the deep end, but there was still something.
It probably did, but that's fine.
we got something. We got something.
Thank you so much, Dino.
Hey, thank you.
Remember, everybody, go and check Dino out at his NoBox network and go and see those awesome question answer things.
Yeah, they're fun. They're fun.
And come and join us and tell us what you need us to discuss next week, because
no last names.
We're having fun with this, so we'd love you to give us some direction, right?
Yeah,
that would be great.
And let's talk about fear. No last names. We're not going to single somebody out.
Yes,
We're not. I didn't disclose who the mayor was.
No,
so I'd never do that to him. I'm not going to do that to you. But you know what? It's kind of cool to have interaction. Share and submit questions to anywhere, to Carina's show, to mine, and we'll cover them. Because that's really a lot of fun. That's really a lot of fun. And I think that's how we're able to get a lot of topics covered, right?
Yes, right. And of course, remember, this is Break Fear and Find Freedom. I know we did talk about fear somewhere along the line, but this has been awesome, right? Thank you so much. Remember to subscribe. And so until next week, and subscribe to Dino. So till next week, we'll see you next week, and have an awesome week. Thank you so much, Dino. This has been great as well, as usual. And we will see you next week. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, and thank you for listening right to the end. Now, if you want to know more about breaking fear and if it's keeping you stuck, check out the quiz. The details are below. Subscribe so you can hear some more of this delicious conversations. And then watch out for my book, The Clank of Chains, which is coming out very soon. Thank you again for being here, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.